Hello, I think you're muted, actually.
Can you hear us now?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry, Mark. All right.
But seriously, I mean, if you want to send several hundred of them home with me in the next, I mean.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Okay.
What can
You'll
we,
have something to do at night.
what can we do?
Last year we did the bins, like, so I got the candy and I just got like a bunch of different kinds, and they're pretty small eggs. They're up at Kiwanis, and then we have some like larger ones. But I kept one bin for toddlers, and that yes, I did no hard candy, no gum.
Yeah.
So that was like a very specific, and it was labeled, and that was off to the side. But other than that, it's pretty nice. I try and stay with nuts. Just because.
But I'd be happy to help.
Perfect, thank you.
Very nice. Excellent. Okay, our visit schedule.
So I printed it out for you to take home. I don't remember if I emailed it. I can tomorrow if need be, but that is the park visit schedule that Dana and I came up with for the summer months. So basically every month, just like you did this month, you're stopping at the parks. Ideally, what I would like, I know it's not possible for every month, but try and visit when it's like peak hours. Like if you're going to the beach, try and get there on like a Saturday afternoon or like sometime during the day. That's why we kind of had them in busier months and staged it that way. That way you see the park in action.
You can talk to people too.
Right, and kind of get feedback, and even the staff, like you go to the beach, or you can speak to the lifeguards, things like that. But it's for general maintenance, like I'm just gonna use the beach again as an example. If you go down there and the shower's not working out, like obviously I'm not at every park every single day. So if you notice something, you would bring that, or you say, hey, like, I don't know, this would be really great here, like a game box at the beach. I know we've discussed that. Small projects like that and maintenance needs is really what we're looking for. So
With the goal of bringing every park up to the best it can be without going crazy on amenities.
mowing would be another thing to look for. Parks that aren't frequently visited that we miss a rotation. So. Any questions on the park visits? Or
I
any?
think this will be fun.
Yeah, and we can go into the park visits we did for this month, which would be Kiwanis and Indian Town Park. And I didn't even think when I sent that email, did everyone know where that park was? On Second Street, okay. I didn't think about that.
I found it.
I'm glad you found it. So we'll start with the Second Street Park. And we'll just open it.
You want to do that right now then?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, I think. I know it's been used for basketball for many years, mostly by a family in the neighborhood, I believe. So I think that's a really good purpose for the park. I think it needs to be cleaned up a little bit. The hoops might need to be replaced or upgraded. I think also, it wasn't really clear to me what the boundaries were in the park, you know, the left and the right boundaries, you know, how wide it is. Picnic table, trash cans, all the typical things. And it looked like there was a grill there. Was that part of the park? Is that really, okay, so that's good.
But it didn't look like it was being used for very much. Well,
Yeah, probably. I don't see that many people there usually. I mean, I don't know if people are aware it's even there, but I think it's got a good purpose. Pardon me?
Say that?
You already have a sign that's
We
prepared
do
for that?
not.
Okay.
We've discussed it.
Yeah.
Signs, for all of our parks, making it more standard.
Uniform. And the name also, I was questioning, is Indian Town, it's all okay as a name?
I would
Does it-
double check with the
tribe,
tribe
okay.
before we created
Yeah.
a sign.
Right.
But when Emma did that study for Topo Nexus, she went to the tribe and asked, but we were all curious, and they. said, okay,
I've heard
go ahead.
nothing negative to it, because that, I mean, for,
It's been that name for a long time.
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot.
Do they have like a community outreach person or something like that?
Yeah, I'll reach out to,
So, this is supposed to be just like bring it up to snuff kind of thing rather than any like big development. So would we save that for later maybe and just, do we want them to input on what they would like to see done? That might be nice.
I agree. They might want something like a history little thing next to it, because when people see that sign, some people are gonna take offense to it.
That's interesting.
So-
We could have a little plaque with. the
Yeah, there
history
could be
of the
something
park.
explaining why the name is the way it is and the tribes support if they deem that, it's
Maybe
appropriate.
even naming it the Odawa Park,
Yeah.
that would be something of interest to the tribe.
I would not promote the basketball there at all. I was amazed how close those houses are to the property. I played a lot of basketball, and if you get too many people there, there's swearing, there's trash talking, which I was very good at. There are other basketball facilities. There's City Waters behind the Fairview Plaza are nice baskets, nice courts. So I don't think we should promote that basketball at all. Plus, they're gonna put in a senior living facility there. And my experience with senior living and recreation is not good. The seniors complain about parking, they complain about noise, they complain about dogs. But there are other places that they can play basketball. I used to think picnic tables and maybe another grill or two. And to find out from the tribe what they would like to have there too. So the backboard needs painting and the rims need a little help, but other than that, I wouldn't spend any money there.
Yeah, I haven't seen anyone play basketball there. There's a little girl that rides her bike or tricycle on the basketball court. I believe for driveways, gravel. So she utilizes that to practice on her bike, but I've never actually seen a basketball there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I 100% agree that it's not useful to have it there. I mean, if we have to replace some of the, I guess the cement bottom would restrict where we could move the baskets. But it seems like just a nice neighborhood place for kids to play. I don't know if we need another pure picnic area.
Right now, I think we should wait until the
Yeah.
tribal project is done, which is coming this year.
They'll start
so
this year.
It is,
actually.
yeah, I just got emailed blueprints for bidding purposes, and it is constructed to be done by the end of 23.
How close will it be to that?
I agree.
Right next to it,
Right next to it.
just right on the boundary of it.
30, probably 30, 40 feet away from the basketball court.
Yeah, I agree, we should wait.
So right now, I mean, maybe trash can, picnic table, I mean, maybe something there so people could hang out, but I would wait till we see what Rachel talked to the tribe, and then just wait and see. Because it is more elderly population that they're looking to house there, not young families.
Right.
So that may change,
I agree.
that may change our thought process maybe a little bit.
I'll just take off the screen share. for now.
Going there.
Yeah, sometimes I like to see kids playing, around that.
Yeah, well, there's not, that area really doesn't have a lot of
Do we think it's?
children per se, it's more people walking and things like that, so.
When they.
We may end up taking the court out once we find out.
Well, it's a possibility. Or maybe we leave the court for events,
Shuffleboard.
different things. So, yeah, I think right now our focus would be more towards Kiwanis, for the next year or two.
I think we could paint the backboards in the spring though and put up new nets. You said you've got somebody that.
Yes, I have somebody who said they would
It's just-
donate the nets and they're here tonight.
I mean, let's not forget about it, but let's just kind of put it on the burner for.
Yeah,
a
I
little
don't
bit.
think painting the backwards and putting nuts up will make the basketball court.
But I
Much
agree
more,
with,
it'll make it look nice for the
Just
few
looks
that do
good.
use it, but I don't think it's gonna promote.
But I think a picnic table tour there,
Yeah.
so if a family is, milling around there, something like that. It's not
So
gonna hurt.
that's the next question then. Mark Anthony, I wonder if he knows his cameras.
but one thing, Dan, I do agree with Karen is I drive by there almost every day and try to understand where does the park end? I don't really know.
Well, we'll know
You
here
know,
before too
and
long.
with the development, then you'll
Yeah,
know.
the surveys,
There's no real place to park unless you park on the grass, but I don't need.
you got the cedar hedge
Yes, street
to the
park.
east, and then the tribal land surrounds it, so.
Right.
As soon as they start the project, we'll know right where the four corners.
Yeah, so we need to really see what's going on with the project.
Yeah.
Around it to make any real good decisions.
Right.
I think.
We have some basic stuff we can get started on. Rachel and I discussing the signage, don't care for the maroon signs because you can't see them. They just sort of disappear. Like I've driven by Kiwanis a number of times. So they don't all have to be as big as they are in some parks, but maybe to go with that blue and white theme.
Yeah, they should be more uniform.
Can you do the reflective white?
If I can do it. Why not?
Well, then in the evening time or,
Yeah.
you know, at night,
Mhm.
they kind of stand out. That's pretty much standard with
Yeah, most.
most
Sure,
signs
yeah.
anymore anyway, so.
Kiwanis is kind of a tricky location, you know, it's kind of in somebody's front yard. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a huge sign, but maybe bigger than it is now.
Ultimate, I mean, the biggest, I think, concern with that is not many people know that it's there.
Right.
Part of the reason why it's probably not used very often. So I know we've talked about some possible other ideas or events and last meeting, we talked about having some of the activities come back at like the yoga in the parks. And it made me think too of another event, maybe doing like an art and wellness series
Mhm.
where we could ask a local artist to do something small in different areas, and
I
that could
love
be
that.
another promotional way to show like, hey, this is here, and attract people to that area to know that it's an option.
I like that idea.
Really good.
Sorry, we're having a Zoom disruption. Pick some people off.
You did.
Sorry.
Okay,
Some kids.
gotcha.
All right.
Okay, let's see, so we've got kind of an action plan on Indian Park. Should we move on to Kiwanis? Yeah. Would you like to show all of the kind of concepts that are?
Well, let's talk about their part of it first. Let's
Yes,
start there.
okay. Might
Um,
be nice to point though, is the
yeah.
only thing I'm thinking, yeah.
So I as mentioned the signs, but another thought that I have, and this isn't, I guess, directed to Kiwanis, but just to get some general like yard signs that say, Parks Board event. So I was thinking about, our most recent sledding and, somebody had said, oh, I don't even know where that place is. Well, okay, well, that's the little sign to start with, but then also if we're talking about doing events and promoting events, just have a general sign that says, Parks event free and arrows going,
Yeah.
that you can put outside or directing people to places.
We have the tourist park banner.
Yeah.
My only thing with yard signs, I don't think they go into the ground if it was frozen.
But what about like the Legion does for like their events, they put, up here or at the fire hall. Where you put an event, with just an arrow, on a little
Oh, yeah, the tripod
Tripod.
things, yeah.
board. Those aren't that expensive.
Right, so that's just sort of a good general publicity.
And you put right there on Lake Road with an arrow.
Showing that way, and just to even point that it's there. And that if it's a free event, that it's a free event,
Right.
might drive some curiosity.
And I don't know how those tripod things work, but if they have like interchangeable things that you can Velcro on or something.
It's usually there's slots and just you spell out whatever it is. you want.
Okay,
Yeah.
and it could be like sledding today, Kiwanis Park
Yeah.
arrow.
Yeah, you can change
Or it
them.
could be Easter egg hunt today, arrow.
Right. Yeah, you
Fall
can use
Fest,
it,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could use it for multiple things.
put it out a few days beforehand, a week, whatever.
I
Yeah.
would just encourage to use your logo as much as possible, just to. It's not just a random
So-
sign, it's
Right,
something
instead of
that
logo.
you're drawing attention to. So sorry, that was a sidebar.
No,
Yeah.
that's just.
So Kiwanis the sign is one thing. Other ideas?
Year-round restrooms.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the stuff we're gonna talk about, Quantic will be
Yeah, that'll be in the.
in the
big
next
plan.
discussion, so. there's
We're
really-
talking about Kiwanis right here.
Are you looking at both the concepts?
Yeah, so we'll just go
Through 'em.
on to that then. Do you wanna talk about fundraising real quick before we go on to the grants?
Here, let's save it for the end. Wait,
Okay.
wanna do that?
And when you talk about the concepts, can you give us a little background as to how when these were done and how they came about and who did them and so on?
Yep, so I have a full presentation.
Great.
So Kiwanis Park. So Kiwanis Park, we are looking to apply for a Michigan Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund grant. You can apply up to $300,000 And you need a 25% match for the total project cost. So I just did some general question answers to give us a walkthrough, and then we'll go through the designs, but this is more based off the actual grant. So where would this project take place? Kiwanis Park, 1051 Arbor Street. When would this project take place? The application deadline is April 1st for all DNR grant cycles. We would receive news if awarded in December 2023. And construction would likely not be until spring, summer 2024. So it is kind of a long timeline for DNR grants. What improvements are we looking at? That's kind of what we're going to talk about today. So they're called scope items within the grant. And once you choose your scope items, those are your main components that you're applying for. So those could be the ice rink, building updates, parking, tow rope, restrooms, outside access, like remodel, a pavilion. Those would be your scope items. Why do we need these improvements? The park has not had major improvements since the playground was put in, to my knowledge. The building is not to ADA guidelines and is in need of new windows. The ice rink can no longer be at the skate park property as well, once Evergreen comes in this fall and remodels. When everyone thinks of grants, they think of the requirements that the grant holds us to. The land included in the boundary of the project site must remain open to public outdoor recreation. The grantee must maintain the site, facilities constructed, and have an entrance drive, parking, walkways, restroom, all be ADA compliance. All new projects must install a trust fund plaque, and there must be an entrance sign. So we have the one on Arbor Street, we would add another one at the park. And the recreation site must be open to all users, and then it goes kind of into fees, non-resident versus resident. In 1971, the city of Harbor Springs required a grant from MDNR, so we are already held to a lot of these standards for the park. There's a 20% mandatory match for the trust fund grant. As I said, we have an anonymous donor for the match if we are awarded. So that is already confirmed. Will the public have input on the process? The Parks Board will have both grants on Parks and Recreation Board meeting agendas in February tonight, our March meeting, and then leading up to the grant deadline that will allow for public comment. City Council will host a public hearing in March meeting. We will also base designs off our surveys and conversations held at sledding and s'mores events. We'll also, once applied for the grant, probably still have it in agendas, but this is just will be available for public input leading up to April 1st before we apply. Why create another park to maintain? Why do we do not need a winter sports park like other communities have. We do not need a large winter park like other communities. That is correct. We want amenities that fit our community size and use. We believe simple improvements will make a great impact. The warming hut is rented weekly for birthday parties, graduations, and reunions. It is a beautiful building with a lot of history. We would not be building a new building, but updating what we have. We already have an ice rink that we told the public we would look into replacing at Kiwanis while fundraising for the skate park project. We would move the skate park staff to Kiwanis during the winter months, no different than when the skate park staff was at the skate park all year round. So nothing really changes there. We have a very good partnership with the Harbor Springs Fire Department with towing families back up the hill 4 to 5 weekends a season. This may lead that we decide maybe we leave out the tow rope as a scope item. We can discuss that tonight. All possible scope items will be evaluated and rated on importance and practicality. Great. So that's kind of an overview of the grant in total. Does anyone have any questions on that part? Okay, so Vanessa Warren works with OHM Advisors, and in 2020, she came up with these concept designs for Kiwanis. They are concept designs. These are not by any means final designs. It's just kind of what they were looking at the time. So as you can see, she did 2 of them. We'll start with the first one. The main components were the ice skating rink being taken back up to Kiwanis. You can see it here and it kind of loops around, okay? We have parking. This would be, my best guess would be that lower lot that's empty right now. That DPW uses for soil, things like that. C, this is a pavilion. You have F, which is a multi-use building, storage, whichever you prefer. There's a bonfire, recreation area. She has some decking on here. J is the existing building with an update, and then as you can see, there is more parking. So this is her first concept design, and I'm gonna go to the second design before we get into discussion. The second design is, again, you can see the parking, and this would ultimately go into DPW's compost area. E is again a pavilion. You have the bonfires, you have F. This one is more, this ice rink is geared, it looks like more towards hockey and holding hockey games versus like recreational use, like for newer skaters. And then G is the existing building, and then the playground has been moved. Whereas in this one, the playground does not exist any longer. It's also
There's a little
in,
hitch on this one. They scaled it off and actually we can only go to maybe the first third of the bigger rink there. That's where the hill drops
well,
off.
there's a hiccup with a couple things with that. Okay, so first off, the tow rope on this one is, if you're at the building, it'd be on the right side. The original tow rope is on the left side,
Yeah.
where that red building is. That's where the original tow rope was to the park.
So let's keep this simple right now. Who's in favor of Plan B over Plan A?
Well, we're not in favor necessarily of either. Let me continue. So I've spoken to Vanessa, and she knows we need to sit down again and look at the visual. There are a couple of reasons. One is we cannot go into the DPW area where they do compost.
Correct.
That is completely off limits.
So
We
we'll
also
park
cannot,
it.
correct, we also cannot go into that lower lot. So we are confined to the space we use right now, which is okay. Another factor that I think is really important to look at is, I really like the decking part of it on the first plan and kind of having that recreation use to the building. I really like the idea of updating the building with the windows, having the bathrooms ADA accessible, possibly having outdoor access to the restrooms, so the building doesn't have to be open to get to the restrooms. Dana and I have discussed with the weather. I mean, this is a perfect example this winter. We have no snow, then we have a foot of snow, then we have no snow, then we have a foot of snow. So the ice rink in our minds needs to be multi-purpose. It has to have another use other than just an ice rink. What that is, I'm sure Vanessa can come up with a lot of
It can be
different
built with
things.
grass underneath or with
Ye-
concrete.
Yeah, it could be a basketball court and then it's an ice rink. It could be a pavilion and then it's an ice. I mean, there are multiple things you can do.
There are companies that do
Yes,
tops for ice
Mhm.
rinks, you know, if you can't use the ice.
right. And it's not, and I also believe that the second design is a fairly large ice rink that probably doesn't deem
So
being necessary.
this plan here fits more into what's been here over history. You know, even when it was where the softball field is now, or, you know, what they've had up here.
Right.
It's pretty similar in size.
So tonight, what we're asking isn't necessarily design work. We'll get to that. What Vanessa and I need to know, and the Parks Board needs to know, is what are our scope items? What are we telling Vanessa we want at this park and we are putting in this grant? Then she can come up with designs on where things go and bring it back to the Parks Board. Well, we need to decide what she's actually looking at. Do we want a tow rope? Is the building our top priority? Do we want a pavilion? Is parking our top priority? Do we think we've been doing okay with events without parking? Those are the questions we're asking tonight.
Can I ask you why, the DPW, refuge debris area cannot be moved or consolidated?
They don't have the room.
There's no place else to put it, any
I
place
talked
at
to
all?
Lucas today and there's nowhere else to put it.
Nowhere else.
No other
And,
place in
and
the
it was a
city?
dump before, so it's ice settling and then the ground temperature.
You wouldn't be able to
that's
build
not-
on it anyway.
That's been a landfill for,
It's actually a landfill.
yeah, that's
Oh,
been a fill for decades.
okay.
So.
Let's hear that question.
Do you want to take some of these elements one by one, like starting with the building?
Mhm.
Well,
So-
personally, I would like to see just what we're looking at right there, not worry about the tow rope. Because the tow rope's a totally different animal altogether. But I think if we got that park area, the building upgraded in that park area, that gets us,
And I would agree with that. The tow rope adds another element with staffing as well. And
that's
it's
a huge
just,
cost.
it's a cost. It's also a cost that if we deem 5 years down the road, we want one, we could put one in if we want. There's just, I mean, and again, this winter is a perfect example. a foot of snow, no snow, you know, like you just have to deem what's gonna be used the most. And right now my answer would not be a tow rope.
And we were talking on Saturday, just, when back in the day, your gloves would get shredded. I don't know if parents are so into that anymore.
Well, the new tow ropes have handles built in.
Okay.
Yeah, years ago, we, every other weekend
I
bought
think,
new gloves,
I
but
don't know if.
the new ones have handles and stuff like that, but I think we should concentrate on what's going on top of the hill and make it user friendly.
And I think the
Rachel,
kids just love the rest.
when I read through the comment-
Yeah, as long as,
I don't think we,
we're gonna do those events,
Should we just
whatever,
go
the
ahead and
fire
take it?
department is more than happy to do all that. So that's
How do you
good.
guys feel? Do you
Important
take
because
the tow
Rachel,
rope
didn't
off,
I
or-
read, because I've read through the
I'd
grant
love to be able to
applications
see
a couple of times.
Still maintain.
And I know there was one stipulation that if you had a sledding hill or ski hill, you had to have a way for.
Do you feel like we still need it, though, if Jen's willing to,
Which would include,
Would
no,
make
like
sledding
what you guys do. at the
Worry
sledding
about
event.
that,
We go
Yeah.
sledding
That'd
and
be-
slide
that-
around all my kids up there.
Support of interest.
Okay,
Yeah, I'd have to look
I'll have
again.
to look.
Yeah, but I think it would be satisfied by the fire department for our events, of being able to bring people up to
I
the
would
top.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was because of the ADA thing or what that was.
No,
I had
I'll
read.
ask Alex.
Yeah,
Or if you can find where you read that, let
Yeah.
me know.
yeah, I
I'm seeing it
can
in the
talk about
booklet,
it
but
tomorrow.
it's like 84 pages long. So it's pricing.
I think the first priority should be upgrading the building.
I would agree.
Dana wants to make it bigger.
I want to make
Yeah.
it bigger, I really do. And I think the best way I've been thinking about this would be to expand it to the north. So in this drawing, be kind of where that playground is. I think we could double the size of it,
Can't go that way.
like,
Septic fields right there.
Yeah, we
Drain
can't.
field. The only way you could expand that building would be to go towards
Out.
the ski hill, that where the
good
entry
piece of
door is.
information. Yep, so we could do that too, but I think it'd be really fun to have a fireplace in there. I think it'd be nice to have maybe like even a decent small kitchen, and we could rent it out for weddings or.
Yeah, I
Right
agree.
up.
I think they're small but significant updates we could do to that building that would make it really nice.
Well, the
And-
small
and-
kitchen could go down in that lower area where the ski booths and rental used to
Maybe,
be.
yeah.
And
maybe.
we could put a deck on it too, a
Mhm.
really nice deck overlooking
That was
ski
one-
hill.
One thing Karen and I really liked about Petoskey Winter Park, we went over and visited there, and they have this huge wraparound deck around the building, and it just seems like that'd be so nice in the
Yeah, but nothing-
summer.
Right,
The playground can go to the north because it's not interfering with anything, but yeah, the building or whatnot can't go that way.
so then it can go the other direction.
That could go towards the ski hill.
So how close is the septic field?
It would be,
Tank is probably all at 10 feet off the building and then the drain field goes out beyond.
Can it go south further? I
The
mean, we would-
building?
Yeah, building.
Mhm.
So we could go further south and we could go,
Not only the building, I mean, I like the idea of just going, putting a deck or like a 3-season,
Mhm.
covered roof going forward, but I don't think we need to make, the closure.
Well, I
Much
think we
bigger
also
than
have
what
to
we
be
got.
careful, like when I think about our surveys, I don't remember like having community centers being a big thing.
Right.
So, but yeah, new windows, outdoor access to the bathrooms, a small kitchen,
And then,
a deck.
if you went with 20 by 30 covered,
yeah, I think
That's-
adding a deck would really be like expanding the building in a lot of ways.
I like that idea.
Yeah,
but I like how
Well,
Sarah's
the-
idea of having classes up there, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
would necessitate maybe a little bit more indoor space too. So I think if we could make the building bigger.
and then the short
Yeah.
side, of it, you could not have the pavilion, like E or whatever
Yeah, right.
right now,
Just
Right.
attach them to the. building.
just attach something to the
70
building.
yeah, like 75.
Yeah.
More than he was saying, yeah.
Well,
More than he was
we
saying.
could gain more parking.
Yeah,
Let me,
I agree.
is there something posted on the wall, how many people can be in that building? I wanna say it's like, it surprised me.
I want to say 60 to 70, if I had
wanna
to
say
guess.
75,
70.
yeah.
Good.
Well, I mean, I've
Yeah.
been there for several
Yeah.
birthday parties and it's congested and it's
Mhm.
tight
And
and
then,
it limits, it depends on what you.
Well, it
want to
depends
be
on
able
the
to have.
tables, like if you take the picnic tables out there, you can get twice as many people in there with the picnic tables.
she may have an idea too, like in that back corner where we have that game box. Like that roof slants, like there may be a plan right there, I mean, that would add. Not a lot of room, but you could push that out maybe a
We
little
just
bit. to
Put a
make
gable
it-
roof right there and open that
something.
up.
Yeah, because that corner is almost useless because of how the roof comes down.
Ideally, if we could expand the building and give it more indoor space, that would, if there's enough money for it, I think that would be, I think that could be the keystone. I mean, that could be the main piece of the project. The other thing that I don't think includes any architecture, but I think it's really important from what I read the two grant applications is the trail system. I think we really need to make something out of that. You know, one place I read said the community needs to get clear access to it by foot or bike or whatever. And I think there's a way we can upgrade our trail system and also connect it to the tennis courts, which are right below on the south side of the trails. Is easily to connect right down to where the tennis courts are and maybe then to Blackbird and to the new shade, whatever that's
Yeah.
gonna be, and even to the boardwalk. So I think that, I know I read that trails are important.
Yeah, they're on their
Yes,
high
and-
priority list
yeah,
right now.
So I think we can really make something out of that. We already have some decent trails. That also means like, what do we do with disc golf? I mean, that's an important part of it too. So how do we separate those two up? I think it's an important part of the plan.
Can we just back up and finish up the building? So just, are we thinking a wraparound porch or are we thinking like a covered porch? Where if it was raining and you had it rented out or something, that might be better.
I think that's a good idea.
Covered
Yeah.
porch.
I
And maybe
I would,
But-
well, I don't know if we need a, because it sets at ground level right now. I mean, if we did like a concrete patio or something, because everything's like grade currently,
Mhm.
except going forward towards the ski hill, let's say. So I would say concentrate on something going there and like Rachel brought up that one corner where that bin is. Look at making that possibly as a small kitchenette,
To me, that's where you would
You
put
know,
the kitchen.
with a
You
small
would
kitchen,
Adjust that corner.
you know, type of thing
That island's
there,
been really handy for serving and such.
right? You know,
So
it keeps
right
it
now, we
simple,
can
but
only
some really
get
good
four-
ideas.
4 picnic tables in there, which to me is pretty minimal.
Mm.
That's where I'm coming from with making it bigger.
Yeah,
Well, even if you added, say, 10 feet to the building and then went with your deck,
So some indoor space and.
like say
and the
where the
outdoor
sidewalk,
space.
say the sidewalk is right there and then it drops off. So if you went to that drop off, by expanding that building out, you're gaining that much more space without hurting anything. And then put your deck over the drop off,
And we can have her.
because you don't need any landscape.
right.
Sonotubes go underground, set the pillars up, deck goes on it. So there's very minimal excavating or any crazy thing that needs to go on there.
Yep.
If I
So-
could guess, the building updates will, just getting the bathrooms to ADA accessibility, if we want outdoor access, like if that's our main goal, that's gonna be a nice chunk of the money. So we just have to keep that in mind. And that's why I say we just have to really given us our big 3 scope items and have her work through those. On
I
what they
think to me,
are.
the building is the most important.
I agree.
Building should be number one, then, you know, line item 2 would be, you know, hardscaping for the rink.
I agree.
Do we need to hardscape for the rink? I watched a bunch of YouTube videos and
If we're gonna make it
Idea
a
built one
a
every
multi-use, I know, but if we're gonna make it a multi-use thing, then yes.
And if it's for the grant, they're gonna want something very solid. I can ask her,
What do you
they might want something more permanent
I mean,
than,
whether it's asphalt or concrete,
I don't know.
I've heard a lot of people at meetings though say, why do we keep paving more and more and more? Like, I mean, if we just did it on grass, then what would be nice is in the summer, you still have all that park for kids to run around in.
problem with the grass, you gotta wait for the frost to get it whole life.
Again,
You gotta wait for the frost to settle in the whole ice. Harder to make ice.
well, we can look at that next step. But we're really looking at it,
Yeah.
is the ice rink our number 2, just go right away. After the building.
is that more important than parking? I don't think the parking that big.
In my opinion, the ice rink is important because when we started fundraising for the skate park, we specifically said our plan was to put up a Kiwanis Park. I'm not saying we promised the community, but we made a statement saying that was the plan. So I feel we need to hold to that.
I agree with you. It
Yeah.
is so
I think it's,
used
I think it's
before.
important. I've had phone calls, especially around Christmas. People come visit their parents, their grandparents. Like that's a very big piece of our community. And it can be simple and we can look at like different ideas, but I think that's our number 2 scope item personally.
Okay, that's everybody
I agree
agree.
with that.
By the way, this particular rink, just roughly scaling it is 70 by 150. And as a point of reference, the current skate park, which used to be, the whole thing was an ice skating rink, was 100 by 150.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be any bigger,
Yeah. Bigger than what?
what we had,
Okay, but I'm saying this is
a
not.
little
as
smaller.
He's
Yeah.
smaller.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think that
Yeah.
hurts anything really.
big.
And it doesn't have to be set up for hockey, but if kids want to put a net at one end, you know, so they want to do, say, like half court basketball.
Mhm.
You know, they can play and do whatever. Younger kids can stay at the other end.
Right, there's.
That's what we used to do.
Yeah. It was hockey.
So- The old rink where the softball field was probably not much bigger and there was a,
You
not
can
at
play
the one end.
roller hockey in the summer.
exactly. So there's a lot of different,
Yeah, I foresee with this design, if we set it up for hockey, you'll have your recreational skaters. You'll have parents trying to teach their kids to ice skate, and then you're gonna have people playing hockey, and it's gonna be, I mean, that's gonna happen potentially no matter what, but it will be staffed, and that's my fear, if we specifically set it up as a hockey rink. You know, if you go to the winter sports park, they're 2 separate components for a reason, it's for safety.
I think right now we should just try to keep it as the recreational and then. Cause most kids go to the indoor rink anyway.
Yeah, I think it's much better to have family skating rather than a hockey rink.
What this does is take up a lot of the playground space though. Like that southern end of that rink is where the grade falls out.
Mhm.
So
We can
that,
still move the playground. To the north.
Yeah, I would look at-
North side.
Put the playground over there, cause it's,
That playground is laid out right now the way it is to save those trees, which is important, but that's why it's so separated into separate wood chip piles.
what do you think, Sarah? I think a shady playground is nice, but
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I guess I don't have any super strong feelings on
Also-
that piece, especially because we're gaining something on the other side.
Also, real quick, hole 9 is right here.
pardon me.
There's a disc golf hole right here somewhere.
It's 10 minutes further to the right.
Okay, it's 10, yeah, okay,
Is
but
that
it's
9?
somewhere in the city, so we would have to measure that out.
And
One's over by
Yeah.
your little.
I think you could reorient. The
Yep.
rink too, so that maybe you could leave the playground, maybe just move like one piece like Karen and I were talking about. Do you want to put mine up real
Yeah.
quick, Rachel?
Yeah, because we looked at it yesterday, we saw that one big piece
Yeah.
of equipment could be moved potentially and leave enough space for the ice
Mhm.
rink.
So there we have the expanded building with the wraparound porch, similar to the winter skate park. We thought that was pretty cool. And this is oriented differently where you've got a rectangle part for hockey. And then you've got more of a curvy part with like a little island with a tree or something maybe that, you know, would separate the two. Then the playground can kind of stay where it is, with the exception of moving that one climber piece. And then, if we did want to make it more of a parking lot, we could. One thing they had at the winter park that was pretty cool is, they had basketball, hoops in the parking lot for summer. I really like that turnaround. I know it's kind of an extravagance, but I mean, if we took that out, then that rink could also get bigger.
I don't think we need to make the rink any bigger, but if we moved it a little more to the north, got rid of that loop. We expand the parking a little bit, keep the playground equipment out on the bluff side, and you're getting rid of 4 or 5 trees maybe versus a dozen.
Right. This actually gets rid of just 1 or 2 trees.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and moving that a little more north, but I'd say we get rid of the loop.
I don't know why I like that loop that much,
Nice
but I just
drop-off
think it's
place,
really,
so
it's
when you're
a nice
But if we're-
drop off.
You know, we can have her talk about disc golf, but when they have events, I mean, they got 100+ people up there.
There may be a way to reduce, I mean, that's a pretty big piece of island right there. There might be a way to keep the loop, but also.
Or maybe we
expand
can
that. It's
figure,
really not one or the other, is what I'm saying all the time. We may be able to.
So let's
Yeah.
say that we want, can we say that we want an ice rink? And that if there's a way to do it, we'd like to have like a hockey configuration with another configuration that's separated from it just a little bit for little kids.
I would say we try not to say hockey.
Yeah.
I think I should,
There's plenty of
Okay.
places.
leave it recreation.
I agree.
One of the things that I thought about, for a summer season is we could have shuffleboard there. There's been a lot of discussion about shuffleboard.
Dana brought that
So
up
if you
as well.
make a rink and it's got cement, we could have shuffleboard courts there, which has come up a number of times in requests and
Yeah, I'm
surveys
looking
and
at
things.
building a couple for Perry Farm possibly here this spring,
I would
basketball,
love to
all
have
that,
plans. Yeah,
all that stuff, which is about that size.
but I think we're all kind of in concert here.
So
Ice
Yeah.
rink, maybe with concrete underneath and one shape, or if we have an add-on shape, just in case. I don't think you can stop somebody from playing hockey. I think it.
yeah, we just don't want to
the kids are there,
advertise it as
So it might
that.
be nice to have another little area where smaller kids can do it.
So we have building, ice rink. We will look into the tow rope and see if that's, because I'll then have to go on the list.
I don't think it has to. They just said you have to have some way
Some
for people
way,
to get
yeah.
from the bottom to
Okay.
the top.
Well, I would say
I would say,
building, ice rink and then parking configuration of
Mhm.
something. I leave the tow rope, as a fourth or fifth.
I
option right
agree
now.
with Dana that I find this parking fairly aggressive for that
Yeah.
park. I mean, it's great. That just seems like a lot of parking. We've had 150 people up there and it's worked out fairly well. Haven't had any complaints on parking.
I think we reconfigured that loop. And even if you
Right.
made it so you're coming in maybe on the north side of the building rather than the south side, so if you just adjusted the loop. But
I think
adjusted it where we can gain more
I think
parking,
you should.
and if it's organized, you're gonna get a lot more people up there.
And
You
she
know,
has
right now,
some
there's
Cut
no
in over
organization.
here as well, which would be a possibility.
All the way down on the road,
That would be a possibility.
they could add probably
Yeah.
20 cars there. People park there now, we just,
Keeping in
define
mind
that.
where that is on this drawing, that's down the hill.
Right.
So,
yeah, back up. The hill.
I actually looked into dimensions, if you go back to mine for a minute, and you can get angle parking, quite a bit of it in.
Mhm.
And that part even could be gravel if we wanted, I don't know
Right,
if we run out of money and we need to use it for the bathrooms or whatever.
And she'll do cost estimates, on it to let us know, like, she may come back and say, your building improvements are 3/4 of your grant, that's a problem, so.
Rachel, can we clarify with her that we would like to make the building a little
Yeah.
bit bigger?
Yeah.
And
I have
then
it
we'd
on here.
also like to add a covered part to it as well. Okay.
Yeah, I have a deck and then I'm probably like 3-season kind of.
And let's say the turnaround loop, if we can make it smaller or do something with it, that would be great, but, can you read what that says up on there, how big that rink is?
Here, I want to say it's 80 by 60.
The rectangular rink,
Oh, 40 by 80.
so 40 by 80 is not very big, so,
Is the intent there so you don't have to move the playground? That's why you kept it small?
yeah, yep. And so we don't have to cut down a whole bunch of trees. But if we are willing to give up the turnaround, or at least make it smaller or something, then that would allow us to go that way.
Yeah, I have one more note and comment. So I think that the games and the games tables, like we put into Marina Park, are incredibly popular during the summer months. People play the cornhole, people play the hopscotch, people play the tic-tac-toe, as well as the chess and the checkers. And so to have it, more friendly in the summertime, I think that's something that's not expensive, right? And could be nice.
Site furniture,
Yeah.
let's,
lighting,
hear
That's it,
about-
Mary, yeah.
I was gonna say, let's let Mary talk for talking about
yeah.
how much comes through with this
You have the
development,
floor.
because that is the main
So-
thing in the summer.
Mary, I just
there.
need your name. Mary Cash.
So Mary Cash is a friend of mine, and she's talked to me a number of times about what goes on at the disc golf course at Kiwanis Park. And I think it's pretty amazing, and I'm not sure if all of us as board members of Park and Recreation realize the amount of people and what goes on there. And so I asked her if she would come and speak and tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah.
So Mary, you're on.
So hello, everyone. I'm
You can
Mary.
stand up.
No, I'm gonna
You
stay.
don't have to.
But I've been disc golfing my whole life, and in the last 2 years, I've actually been playing leagues, which are something that people kind of pay money to go play, or professional. I've actually played Kiwanis almost every day in the summer, and just a couple weeks ago I was playing. So Kiwanis isn't really a winter course. River Road in Petoskey is more of our winter course because they clear off the tee bags. But Kiwanis is amazing. It does need some work. Your course is set up 9 holes and then 9 holes. So you guys talking about parking, bathrooms. Bathrooms are fine because after 9 holes, you're kind of back in that main area. But parking is one thing we've kind of been talked to about, like parking on the grass and stuff like that. But you guys getting people, like a lot of people are traveling to Harbor Springs just to play disc golf. And maybe that's what you guys don't know, like what Scotty wanted me to come here to explain is you have recreational high schoolers walking down, and playing, and there's huge groups of them. But then there's groups that are playing like professionally, doing it the correct way, buying hundreds of dollars in discs and everything, just to travel like over 20 miles to come here to play. And so the more money or effort you put into this park, people are willing to drive even further to come here just for it. Last year I went to Arizona just for a pro tour to watch people play, not even to play with them. So it's a great sport. It's definitely growing. Kiwanis is awesome because it's a smaller course compared to the other 3. Bliss Fest, River Road, and Petasiga are very long. They're kind of for more like the amateur pro people that play tours or leagues. But most new recreational players are gonna come to Kiwanis and, spend hours up there every week, so. That's all I'm gonna have to say.
So
Let's
what
get
would
questions.
you, what would you suggest it would help with improvements then?
Your back 9, you still need tee pads, so that's the concrete pad where you actually throw from. The reason why, so your course set up 9 and then 9, a lot of people will play the front 9 and then replay it because those tee pads aren't done. And there's just tree roots and stuff like that, that when you're trying to throw good and you don't have like a flat thing to throw on. Other than that, trash cans, recycling, people love recycling it, but last year, I don't know if there wasn't someone to clear all of that stuff every month or week or whatever that was, but people are really diehard on like recycle, clean up after yourself, but if there's no trash can, people will just throw it on the ground there. But other than that, I feel like you have Nate, I think is the guy clearing the stuff out there. And he's done a great job communicating with us, and we talked to him about trees falling on baskets and stuff like that.
Mary, can you explain about the app and the GPS?
Oh, yeah, so there's the app called UDisc. And in 2022, they have like 1.2 million people using this app. Locally up here, only half of us have it. And like if it's a group of 10 people playing, only one person keeps your score. But over 87% of people said they travel miles to come and play. But there's millions of people on there, and I think like it was over like 1,500 people, more people are like just gaining, locally around here playing, so. But it's an app that's great, and you guys have your course on there, so when you're on the app, you can actually stand at like hole 1 and it shows you directly like how to throw, how far, and you can log your scores. So you guys can see how many people have played there.
Mary, I wonder if you would be interested in doing like a learn to disc golf clinic or something like that.
Yeah, I did it for the skate rink when it was at the skate park.
Okay,
Back in the day, and I think we've worked with Molly Baker with the league who's doing the Topo Nexus. A couple of my friends worked with her and did a little thing, teaching how to disc.
So I'm really glad you're here because, as I walk the trails and look at,
Yeah.
and think about the trails all the time, because that's kind of where my background is. How we can do both,
Yeah.
in the same spot. So your input would be really helpful because I feel like when I'm back there and kind of looking at it all and figuring out where
You
we
don't know
take
where to
it.
go.
Yeah, you
Or
know,
be in the way. or-
Well, I kind of know where to go, just got to.
Yeah.
But other people don't, and I feel like I'm kind of getting in the way of disc golf too. So I think that's really an important consideration as we flush this out
Yeah.
is, you know, actually being able to mark both and have both at the same time. I totally agree. I've been involved in a lot of MEDC stuff and funding grants for disc golf in different parts of the state because it's growing so quickly.
Yeah.
Retail as well as spots to play. So it's a great opportunity to bring more people into our community, totally.
Yeah, and you were
And then
talking about the trail system and like your holes 3, 4, and 5 back up to that tennis court. And there is
Right.
like
Right.
down between 5 and 7, you could have an easy trail at the hole 7 kind of comes down and there is a trail that goes to those tennis courts.
Right.
But at Bliss Fest up in the north, the disc golf course, they have the North Country Trail that comes directly through and they didn't talk to disc golfers or anything. So it's just like people like walk through a hole that's very long that you're driving as fast as you can and hard as you can. So
But Mary, how many people would you estimate play each week at Kiwanis Park?
week would be difficult, but every day in the summer, like your peak times, there's over 100 people there when I'm there. And that's,
A day.
so like for 18-hole course, about 70 people, 70 plus people can play. For a round takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And at Kiwanis, because you have the 9 and the 9, you can do over 100 people there, plus people walking on the paths, plus your park, kind of like that upper area. So you can have a ton of people there, but separating the trails from the disc golf course would help a lot.
Yeah, it'd be important. And that brings to mind another thing, and I don't know if this is even feasible because of staffing, but a concession area.
Yeah, I've
That would
never
be
been in the
something-
building.
Yeah.
Like
There's
never been
nothing
in
in-
there.
Yeah.
I'm there every day, but I've literally never been inside of that
Do
building.
you know what Trevor made, right?
I feel like I know.
So he did the maintenance on this golf. He worked with Nate over the
Okay,
summer. So we're
yeah.
bringing him back for the summer purely for parks maintenance and specifically Kiwanis.
Cool.
Because I can't get back there every week to do those trash cans. And we've actually talked about pulling trash cans because there's one on every hole. And
Yeah,
that parks truck, like trying to get it back there and change those trash cans is so hard. Like, you
yeah.
have to park the truck and just like
Carry-
drag them all like up the hill back to the parks truck.
Yeah,
So would you say that, this is like just a maintenance question, like, are they always full, like weekly?
sometimes.
Okay.
I would definitely say, like, if you had it at 1 in 10 and then maybe down like by 5, but
That's what we were talking about, yeah.
up there, like, I know that trash can, I've never like photographic memory,
Yeah.
never seen that trash can full, but like 3 and 4.
Yeah, because we thought about doing fewer, but changing them almost daily,
Yeah,
because to do them and do like all the holes is just, that's like half a day gone, pretty much,
Yeah.
just so that's good input to hear.
And then I've noticed, like, when you guys are done playing, like, you hang out and at a picnic table or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
well, some people drive really far and so they'll either play like, I've come there and I'll play like leagues, but then I play for an hour before. So people are there for hours and willing to show other people, but leagues are very separate from other people because they have a time schedule. They want to play quickly and get through, but other people just want to play and like throw at trees and stuff, you know?
So obviously we got the need to, you know,
Yeah.
get things.
Do you care if I
Fixed
get your
up.
contact and stuff?
I mean, when you're
No,
right there, you're trying to first cross the thing, yeah, everyone's always.
Oh, I'll grow-
One is this day, though, if you're walking the trails in it's safe because there's no like trail crossing that's at the end of, you know, basket behind it. And people will wait for you. There's that guy, he's like shorter with the glasses and the black dog. He's like my favorite guy. We
oh,
always
yeah,
see
he's
him.
there all the time.
Yep,
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah.
just, he's there, you know what I mean? And we watch, and I think he's created the culture of like, there are walking trails here and people watch out for them. But maybe a couple tiny signs like, this is a walking trail separate from this, like,
Yeah.
disc golf course.
Very excited.
Like on the walking trail, like you were on a disc golf course, like keep your eyes up or whatever.
Right, yeah, unless we need to
Sign
sign
it.
them out more, but that's, I think, something important to look at down the
Yeah.
road. I brought up concessions, would you all like to see concessions? Like I said, I don't think we could afford the staff to do it, but
I would say they would buy it because everyone's coming right out of work, and a lot of people like don't even stop at the store because they want to make it on time. So yeah, because they're either workers or they're like high school kids that are down there just hanging out with their friends.
It could just be league nights or something.
Yeah.
Too.
Guys, and
Somebody stop
I'm
it.
sorry, I think we're gonna have to like move on to the
Yeah.
next thing. It's 7 o'clock already.
Right.
Thank you so much for coming though.
Thank you.
Great information.
Helpful.
I would have you a clinic for sure. Let's see. So we've got our main things for Kiwanis
Yeah,
now.
do you want to move on to the skate park?
Let's move on to the skate park. Go.
Okay, so I did the same thing for the skate park. I'm kind of gonna go through it fairly quickly because it's a little more simple than Kiwanis. So the project would take place at the Harbor Springs Skate Park, 740 East Main Street. They award this grant in October 2023, but the construction's about the same. So we're looking at spring, summer 2024. Improvements we are looking at, we're looking at new skate park windows. Those are already a capital improvement project separate from the skate park construction. We would also be landscaping around the new concrete skate park. That means benches, any trees, bush, anything we decided to put in there, be fairly simple. More like a pavilion space, if you will. Why do we need these improvements? The skate park is in need of new windows due to age and security concerns. With the new concrete skate park, our goal is that all fundraised dollars go towards evergreen construction and landscaping would be left to the grant dollars. So basically, the goal is that anyone who has donated so far is gonna actually go to the evergreen project. Does the grant hold its any requirements? It is the same, very similar to the Kiwanis, the trust fund grant. There is a 25% mandatory match for the passport grant on total project costs. We would ask if our fundraised dollars could be a match, which I believe they could be. It's usually $1. Also, we would ask council for the general fund dollars. The reasoning behind this is skate park windows would come out of the general fund anyway. That's already a capital improvement plan for like, I think it's next year, or maybe that's upcoming summer. So either way, that money is getting spent. So if we didn't use the fundraising dollars, we would go to a request for council. Well, the public have input, it'd be the same process. So it's in this February meeting, it'd be in the March meeting. And then we would have, you don't need a public hearing for a passport grant, but we're gonna do one anyway, because it'll be the same time as the Kiwanis one, just seeing due diligence, makes sense. And then the design concepts, this would also be Vanessa from OHM Advisors. She do both grants at the same time. She would bring the design for overview, and Evergreen will have a concept design for me with measurements by the end of this week that she can base her plans off of. So
How much money do you think you would want to apply for there?
you can apply up to 150,000. I don't think we need to apply for that amount. But I'm gonna speak to Vanessa this week about what her idea is. The windows, I think we have at like, I want to say 40,000 for the skate park.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, about 40,000.
From the capital,
That's on the capital improvement. It just makes sense to roll them all into one. Because it's gonna be all included, so.
I'm just thinking of other big projects we would have coming down the road, like Ford Park being one of them.
Yeah.
If we have 150,000. Is it appropriate to go for landscaping, or would we want to think about something like Ford Park, at least getting that?
Well, you can apply for 3 passport grants a year as long as they're
For
on different
150
properties.
each? for
Yeah,
150?
yeah, you can apply for
Okay.
3 years as
All
long as they're on different properties.
Okay,
So if we did this one and they move a little quicker than the trust fund grant, which is nice. So if we applied for this, that doesn't hold us back if we wanted to do Ford Park, if you want to do Ford Park the next April, because you can even apply for them while you're in the process of a DNR grant. So it doesn't hold you to do anything, so.
And with everything being a mess, I think we'd be better off just getting that finished.
That's kind of my thought process is we're gonna put in this beautiful skate park. Let's have the rest of the park match it and have it be a fully completed project. You have the pickleball courts. We have small improvements to Harbor View that is knock that off the list.
Rachel, do you want to talk a little bit about how this contract with OHM will work and then
Yeah, so we have a contract with OHM Advisors is the amount of $6,500. Then that's for both grants together, not separate. Those are for concept designs, meeting with us. Vanessa Warren actually lives in Harbor Springs, amazing individual. She's on the RRC committee, she's on the planning commission. She's answered a lot of questions so far, about the grant process. She has done DNR grants before. So she's already in their system and is in line with how everything works. So, and then that includes cost estimates. What it doesn't include is once everything's completed, actual construction, and engineering drawings for that. But with the grants, you can apply for 20% of the grant money to go towards engineering. So,
They require that too, don't they? Engineering and
yeah,
architects.
yeah,
that's
you
why.
need someone on the profile, so. So she marks all those boxes, and Kiwanis makes sense because she did those concept designs, and she's working on this, so.
Okay.
Good.
Pretty good shape, everything we got going on.
Fundraising, we can talk more next week or next month about that, maybe.
Okay.
We had just had some ideas about like what we can do to, you know.
Just
get
email
supported.
them. Email the ideas.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, if everybody wants to send ideas to Rachel for the next meeting.
Yeah, for fundraising. ideas.
Yeah, we were trying to think about like, would we do like restaurants do 10% towards the boardwalk or something, you know?
We have a fairly large donor request in for the boardwalk that we're waiting to hear back on, so we're hoping to hear back in the next month or so on that.
A donor request.
They actually reached out to us.
Oh, nice.
It's anonymous at this point, but hopefully that'll pretty much put an end to fundraising for the boardwalk.
Do we know anything about? the
Fingers
other-
crossed.
Do we know anything about the other group that was raising money?
I do not. I don't know how much they raised. I don't know what their plan is to get the money to the city.
Rumor has it they have till the end of the month
Yeah.
By requirement?
Yes,
By going to PC?
no, I think it has to do with some of the donors that
Oh.
donated to them. I think they were given the ultimatum to
Okay.
hand it over, whatever, to the city by the end of the month, or some other issues are going to arise. That's what I've heard.
So as of right now,
But
we're
nobody knows
planning
how
on
much.
money we fundraised, and then whenever
It doesn't sound.
that
like it's a lot.
preservation group decides what they're gonna do, then we'll add it in, but right now, we should really just base our fundraising goal off what we have. Which is fair.
So let's talk more next month
Yeah.
about that.
Perfect.
Parks manager or parks.
Oh
director
God, I
report.
don't even know. It's not very long. We were not awarded the Sparks grant for the boardwalk. Cops Masonry was awarded the bid for the construction, and it is scheduled to be completed summer 2023. And the Parks Department kind of like fell into this. The DDA needed a scavenger hunt for Ice Fest, so Yay Parks, we were able to save the day and create a scavenger hunt for Ice Fest, and just a shout out to the DDA because that was a great event. Felt bad, the sculptures didn't last long, but it's such like a catch-22, like you want the weather to be amazing, but then you want the ice sculptures to stay, so.
Yeah.
But other than that, and then the sledding and s'mores overview, real quick, I have some photos. I just wrote down everything we purchased, so we have it for next year. And then the total, so we spent $721.72 in donations. We made 334. So in total for the 3 events, we spent $347.74. I would say that's a success. So. Perfect.
Do you want to quickly show the images of Petoskey Winter Park? It would take
Yeah,
2
I don't know where
minutes.
it went.
Gary and I went over to visit just to see, you know, what's going on. It's completely closed right now. The ice is kind of wrecked. They have a beautiful building, stunning building. That's it from the backside in the summer. The interior is really nice. It's kind of rustic, and I would see, you know, our improvements maybe going along that line too. Let's see.
That's a recreational rink.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just huge.
The whole parking lot.
Yeah.
But it's closed now, right?
Yeah.
It'd be
That's it,
really
full
fun to
board.
know how
Most
they,
outdoor facilities are closed right now.
yeah, yeah,
For the ski hills.
yep.
This is their hockey rink.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a separate amenity. And then this, they're fundraising, and I believe they got a trust fund grant to build a new hockey rink, a multi-purpose rink. And then they're gonna have a pavilion shade over it. There's a whole page on it.
They have a fundraiser going on.
Yeah.
Well,
And
This
they-
is their deck. They have this deck that wraps around the whole thing and they've got bleachers on it by the hockey rink. And then the black you see on it is so you can walk on it with ice skates.
But they don't have a tow road either on their hill, I don't believe.
No,
No,
you look like penguins on the hill there.
I know.
boat jumpers.
they rent
Really?
skates. So Rachel, do we still have, like, did we rent skates at the skate park?
I don't believe so. I don't think there are ice skates there. There might be a couple pairs, but I don't think it was a normal thing.
Yep, that's it. And then basketball hoops for summer.
Huge part. Do you
So
know
it's
how many
huge,
acres
it's-
they have
yeah.
there? Do you have any idea?
No idea.
I looked at the website and I couldn't find anything about that.
What's that?
How many acres they have at the Windward Park?
Oh, I don't know.
If I find out, I'll let you know.
Been a handful of years since I've been up in here.
Yeah, a lot of the pictures I pulled off the internet, you know, it gets really busy, you know, when
Yeah.
winter weather is good.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Good, okay.
Good meeting.
Yeah, I think so.